Hey everyone, welcome back to another Explainer. Today, we're tackling a deeply emotional and honestly an incredibly common struggle. If you've ever felt like your wonderfully sharp mind is kind of getting in the way of your heart, I want you to know right now that you're not alone, and more importantly, you are absolutely not broken. Today, we're looking at exactly why intelligence sabotages love.
Okay, let's dive into this. So, highly intelligent people are logically supposed to have the easiest time finding love, right? I mean, they can solve complex problems, they navigate these difficult careers, and they process immense amounts of data like it's nothing. But somehow, when we get into the realm of romance, it's often the exact opposite. Today, we're going to unpack this fascinating paradox and look at the actual mechanics under the hood.
Here's our roadmap for breaking down this emotional struggle today. We'll start with the intelligence paradox, uncover the root cause, walk through 6 traps in dating, give you 3 mindset shifts, and finally, we'll reveal the real assignment. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the intelligence paradox, and why smarts really don't equal easy love.
You know, whenever a brilliant person struggles to find a partner, society always seems to have this tidy little theory ready to go. People love to blame external factors. They'll say stuff like, oh, you're just way too picky, or you're married to your job, or the classic conversational out, well, you just haven't met the right one yet. But research shows that none of these actually hold up to scrutiny. The real reason is far stranger and much more internal. The same exceptional mind that makes highly intelligent people successful at literally almost everything else, it's not just a bystander in their love life. It is the direct cause of the friction.
Which brings us right into Section 2, the root cause, or as I like to call it, outpacing your own feelings. If you've spent years telling yourself, man, I'm just broken, we're going to replace that narrative right now with a recognized developmental reality. In developmental psychology, there's a specific concept for this called asynchronous development. It was coined by researchers known as the Columbus Group, and most notably by psychologist Linda Silverman. Basically, it just means the mind grows up way faster than the rest of the person. The thinking brain is literally racing ahead of the calendar. But the emotional side, the part of us that requires time, patience, and repetition to learn how to feel safe being seen, it doesn't get to skip a single year, so it leaves highly intelligent people permanently a little out of step. They're fully capable of adult-level analysis long before they're actually capable of adult-level closeness.
Let's look at the biology side by side. Your prefrontal cortex, that's the part responsible for analysis and planning, matures incredibly fast in a highly intelligent brain. It's constantly comparing, predicting, calculating. Meanwhile, your limbic system, which runs emotional bonding and safety, well, it cannot cut corners. It still needs a normal amount of time and repetition to learn that closeness isn't dangerous. Imagine bolting a computer processor that's like 5 years ahead of its time onto a machine still running last year's cooling system. Nothing actually breaks, but man, it runs incredibly hot the moment there's any real emotional load put on it. And that's exactly what happens the moment a new relationship starts.
And this brilliantly illustrates where it all begins, because it didn't start in adulthood. Back in childhood, this is the kid who finished the entire class reading list by October while all their peers were still playing on the monkey bars. Throughout the school years, every adult praised them as gifted or advanced. And hey, that feels great at first, but eventually an unconscious rule forms. Being exceptional is what earns love and attention. Therefore, being ordinary or flawed or fully known starts to feel genuinely dangerous. The smart kid just solved the only puzzle in front of them, how to stay loved in an environment that heavily celebrated their mind, but that childhood habit transforms into an adult defense mechanism. They try to earn connection by being impressive rather than letting themselves be truly seen.
Okay, moving on to Section 3. Let's see how this builds into real-world behavioral outputs with the 6 traps in dating, and how that exceptional mind works against you.
That childhood pattern doesn't just retire after graduation. It follows you straight to the dinner date. Let's break down the first 3 traps. First up, the math. Research on assortative mating shows that people typically pair up based on intelligence. So if you're in the top few percent of the IQ curve and then you add in age, location, and the fact that they need to actually be single, your dating pool shrinks aggressively. This leads to a very specific kind of loneliness even when you're technically surrounded by options. Second is the search. Decision scientists categorize people into satisficers who settle when their needs are met and maximizers who constantly scan for better options. Intelligent people are heavily trained to be maximizers, so even on a genuinely great date, a background process keeps scanning for a flaw, making contentment feel like you're somehow giving up. And third, the defense. This is what Sigmund Freud called intellectualization. It's using logic to hold uncomfortable feelings at arm's length. If a partner is crying, this type of brain offers a brilliant theory to solve the problem instead of just offering a hug. The intelligence isn't missing, it's just aimed at the totally wrong target. It's explaining a feeling instead of sitting inside it with the person.
Let's look at the next 3 traps. Fourth is small talk. Because of something called emotional overexcitability, a term from psychologist Kazimir Dombrowski, an intelligent nervous system often experiences feelings at a much higher volume. Small talk literally feels uncomfortable to them, so they rush into deep conversations, which causes major pacing issues. They either scare people off by going way too deep too fast, or they suffer through surface-level dating until they completely burn out. Fifth is the process. This stems from a need for cognition. They fall in love with the complex puzzle of figuring a new person out. But once the partner becomes safely familiar, relational boredom strikes exactly when the relationship gets solid. Finally, number 6, the blind spot. As Daniel Goleman's work points out, high IQ absolutely does not guarantee high EQ. They can perfectly diagnose a friend's relationship disaster, but remain completely blind to their own identical patterns. So the crucial point here is the specific, quiet shame this creates. Being the absolute smartest person in the room, but somehow failing to notice that you've just hurt someone you love.
When you add all 6 of those traps together, the cost is staggering. You have a mind that's built to notice, compare, and solve literally everything. Yet the hard truth is, love never had a correct final answer to begin with. All that incredible mental horsepower just keeps failing in this one area because love was never a puzzle to finish. A partner is not an equation to optimize, and a feeling is definitely not a theory that needs explaining.
But don't worry, we're absolutely not leaving you stuck there. Let's look at section 4. 3 mindset shifts and how we go about fixing the processor.
Look, turning your analytical mind off completely, that's just not realistic. You can't ask a smoke detector to stop noticing the smell of smoke just because there's no fire. But we can absolutely aim that thinking somewhere else with these 3 actionable steps you can start practicing today. Step 1. Use the mind as a notebook, not a judge. When you notice a doubt or a red flag, absolutely write it down, but intentionally delay the final verdict. A maximizer's brain wants the case closed immediately. Leaving it open on purpose literally starves out that anxiety for a final answer. Step 2. Trade being impressive for being findable. You have got to unlearn that childhood habit. Try saying the plain, unimpressive but emotionally honest sentence out loud instead of the clever one. Instead of citing attachment styles, just say, "Hey, that scared me," or "I don't know what I'm feeling right now." And step 3. Choose a partner for depth, not just matching intelligence. A partner doesn't need an identical IQ to hold your interest for decades. They just need to be endlessly curious about your inner world and unafraid of silence. Changing that standard drastically and wonderfully expands your dating pool.
Which brings us right to our final section, Section 5, the real assignment, where we redefine the analysis. Let's look at how we can permanently transform this analytical sharpness from a dating hurdle into an absolute relationship superpower. Think about the detective. This is how the intelligent mind often operates in dating, investigating a new partner for weaknesses, searching for flaws, essentially building a case against the relationship. But contrast that with the historian. The analysis doesn't actually go away here, it just shifts. The historian is endlessly curious. They study a partner with devotion, realizing that a human being never actually finishes being figured out. When you stop acting like a detective and start acting like a historian, that need to analyze stays perfectly satisfied, but it builds a beautiful connection instead of destroying it. I really want to anchor our entire explainer today with this profound quote from the legendary psychoanalyst Carl Jung. He wrote, "The intellectual still suffers from a neurosis if feeling is undeveloped." This perfectly proves that having a brilliant mind was only ever half of the assignment. The other half, learning to feel something without needing to logically explain it first, was always waiting there for you to pick it up. As we wrap up, I want you to really take this in. You are not broken. Your intelligence just never learned how to feel safe. So out of all the dating traps we covered today, the math, the search, the intellectualization, which one landed closest to home for you? And more importantly, as you move forward, you really have to ask yourself, is your brilliant mind actually protecting you, or is it just keeping you lonely? If this explainer finally put words to a struggle you've never been able to voice, I highly encourage you to reflect on it. Maybe even share it with that brilliantly smart person in your life who has quietly given up on love, blaming themselves for something that was never really their fault. Thank you so much for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next explainer.